Hi, everybody. Hi.
Hi. Oh my
How
God.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm so much better now to see your face and chat and catch up.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? I'm so excited. This has just been my favorite part of this year has been being able to read such awesome books and then have these discussions and catch up. And I mean, because so much work goes into writing a book and the idea of it and then the editing and the getting it out there. And it's so much work.
All the things.
All the things. So I'm really excited.
Well, I feel the same way. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of yours. And I love this series that you're doing. It's so you because you just put so much love and light and brightness into the world. And so I just want to say thank you for that.
No, thank you. I feel the same way about your book. I read it and I literally read it in 2 days. I inhaled it. It was so fun and so good. And just really quickly too, before we get going on this train, which I'm so excited about, I just want to quickly kind of reiterate about this week and sustaining your holidays and what that all means. And again, like I know I've been talking about environmentalism and the eco-friendly, and that's kind of one component to this because I'm all about sustainability. But the first thing I think is about sustaining yourself. And for me, the things that really sustain me are escaping in a fabulous, great book. And that's kind of why we're here and what led us here, because I find that if you can put the oxygen mask on first and find the things that keep you whole and make you feel good, and I don't know, free your mind of anxiety or distraction or whatever it is that you just need that calm. For me, it's getting lost in a great book. And this book, I was just discussing it with a friend of mine because I feel like this is honestly the perfect book to read during quarantine.
Oh my gosh.
Don't you agree though? I mean, I thought like, first of all, young adult, and I haven't read a young adult book in so long. So I was so excited to get my hands on this because I forgot how sweet and fun and how much for me, young adult novels got me through really difficult times in my life. I think I read The Mists of Avalon, like, not that that's necessarily young adult, but that book for me when I was about 14 years old and we moved and my parents were going through rough patches and stuff, that for me got me through so much. And so to read this book, it brought me back to being in high school and being young and going through difficult times. And I can only imagine how difficult it is for young adults and kids and teens and tweens and all that. So to read this is just, I can imagine like you're getting so much praise. So I want to hear everything about it.
Thank you so much, first of all, for reading. And Mists of Avalon also got me through that same period in my life. I want you to know for the same reasons.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And I was very thankful for it. And I think that's one thing that, books do. I think no matter who they're written for, but I think especially for young adults, I feel I started my career in nonfiction. I've written fiction for adults, but my young adult books, I think, have brought me like even more joy because the audience for young adults is so passionate and they're so eager and they need to hear stories about everything. Like they need to see themselves on the page and they need to hear stories about, mental health and they need to be reminded they're not alone and they need to read about things that maybe people don't necessarily want to talk to them about. And so I feel like that's one of the many reasons I love writing it. And I know that my friends who are also YA authors, we just feel very grateful and honored, I guess, to be writing for them because they're going through so many firsts, especially in this year. I mean, we're all going through so many things that we've never been through before.
Right.
And so I think that is, I, like you, I just find such a wonderful escape into books. And especially right now, especially this year, I've done more reading this year, I think, than I've done like in my entire life.
Same, right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's such a comfort. Well, you just hit on something that I kept reading about, which are the firsts in this book. The first sort of traumas that you go through at a young age, the first sexual experience, your first breakup, big conflict, moves. There's so much wrapped up in this book that I found so empowering to walk through with the protagonist. I felt like Claude was such a, like, I want to be reincarnated as Claude. Like, she's so confident, and I'm so glad that there's a book out there and a protagonist out there like her who is going through these monumental conflicts, these roadblocks, these forks in the road, and somehow has the wherewithal to feel it and be in the moment and then sort of look at it and make a really wise decision, which I think is a really great hero for young adults to read and follow along with. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Thank you so much. The book is, it's pretty personal. So Claude, when she's just a week shy of graduation from high school, her parents tell her they're separating. And for her, it feels like the whole floor has been yanked out from beneath her feet. And that's how it felt. The same thing happened to me. And that's exactly how it felt. It felt like, all my life would have been the three of us. Nothing really terrible had happened to me yet. And no big loss had happened. And that was the first moment when it felt like, oh my God, like, I'm thrust out into the adult world. The whole world is upside down. There's no floor beneath my feet. And she was just like a week after graduation, her mother takes her to this remote island off the coast of Georgia, and there's no self service, no Wi-Fi, and she feels cut off from everyone she knows. And she meets a boy, and she does like have sex for the first time. And I think one of the things that I wanted to do in that book is one, write the character I wish I could have been at that time, because when I was actually going through all of that, I was not that strong and
Yeah, me either.
devastated and feeling all the feelings. And it took me a long time to kind of get my feet back and build that floor beneath my feet. And so for Claude, I wanted her to be stronger than I was. And the second thing was, she feels like her voice has been taken away and like she doesn't have any power that summer. And I wanted her to make an empowered decision about having sex for the first time, because I felt like that was, a good and positive thing to show, especially for young people. And I know it's a sensitive thing to write about, but I had already written about mental health and suicide with All the Bright Places. And so I felt like, I know what a responsibility it is to write for young people, and I take that very seriously. So that's what I tried to do here. And the response has been just lovely. I mean, the thing that I hear the most with all of my books is, thank you for letting me know I'm not alone. And thank you for letting me know I matter. And that, I never anticipated that going into YA, because I didn't really have that feedback from adults, with nonfiction and fiction for them. And I've never been cried on so much in my life. And I know that, on a much bigger scale, what that's like, just that the love and the gratitude they have because they've been seen and they feel like you get them and you understand them. And there's just such a need for that kind of compassion and that reminder to everyone in the world that we're not alone, especially in this kind of year.
100%. And I love that it's written in like they're mundane things, like they're everyday.
Yeah.
And I think that what it comes across that way, like these are things that happen. You lose your virginity, you have your first love, you have to deal with things that are uncomfortable in life, and that is part of life. And I like that you really take that head on and use Claude to really relay that messaging, and you do it in a really powerful way. I feel like both for men, but mainly for women, it was just really great the way that she dealt with her first time, and it wasn't this crazy experience, and like the way that she tackled it and was very like cerebral about it was pretty and emotional, but like it was just very empowering, I think, to watch her tackle that in those moments. And in empower, like the way that she talks about the joy of sex and dissect that, because those are things that we would see growing. I mean, I don't know if I'm sure you saw those things because you're writing about it, but like growing up, those were like the models, and we were taught to be sexy in a way, like you can have sex, but it was never like equal.
Mm-hmm.
And reading this story made it much more of an even playing field.
That's, oh, I love that. And it's exactly the kind of thing that I wanted to go for, especially. And I think that especially in countries where it's more taboo to talk about this kind of thing, for especially for young people, I'm hearing even more response about that, especially from young female readers who are just grateful, I think, to see an experience. I mean, it's so important to show all different experiences on the page, but I think I don't see as many in young adult that are more positive and empowering, where, you know, there's talk of consent, and, you know, I feel like it's like a good empowered decision for the character. And I wanted to do that with Claude. As I said, she's a much better, she's a stronger version of me. So I think that's a lot of what we do in YA, is kind of write the version of yourself and like the thing that you went through.
Yeah.
But you give yourself like this whole different, you know, experience, hopefully a better one.
That's so funny that you say that, because I was speaking with Jacqueline Woodson recently. We read at the Bone, and she sort of said the same thing, where as an author, she goes back and it's like writing at the time in your life that you're not necessarily stuck at, but you know, that was monumental, or you had some growing pains or what have you, and to go back and kind of write from that perspective and that angle. So a lot of her books as well sort of tackle young, you know, youthful perspectives. So it's such an interesting thing that you say that too.
It really, she's amazing, as you know, and it's so true. I think there's something about, and this is, you know, as I was kind of alluding to, like writing about first, because that age is so pivotal. And I mean, I know I can, like, there are a lot of people who say they can't remember high school, but I think it shapes us. And I think that those experiences when we're young, high school, middle school, grade school, like those shape us and turn us into who we are in so many ways. And I know that that moment, the moment that I wrote about in Breathless, is definitely one of the pivotal moments, or defining moments, as they say in the book, of my life. And, you know, it takes sometimes a long time to make sense of that. And as a writer, you know, that's, as a creative person, you do that. That's how I process things. I'm like, okay, now I can like go back, I can think about it on the page, and maybe I can make sense of this somehow.
Well, you totally did. Yes. No, it was really, I'm really, like, I want to pick your brain offline, because, like, first of all, I want to know what's going to happen with this book. Where am I going to see it?
Yeah.
Because it can't just live on the page. Like, I need to see this visually, and I'm like, I got characters, I got people that I think would be great.
Hear who you.
It's so good.
It is going to be a film, so it has been optioned, and this is like
That's
so new. So I think the first place I'm actually saying that, Jen. So it's, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so cool. I am so excited. I'm so excited for you. I loved this book. It was
Thank you.
so beautiful and so fun that I want to know what's going to happen next. Do you have a follow-up?
I will tell you.
Okay.
And then maybe there'll be a follow-up, but I will definitely let you know.
Please do. I really did. It was really perfect. It was really perfect for the time that we're in, and I really needed it. It was funny. I was chatting with my husband last night about being in those moments in life and how they are mundane, and looking back, it's like, don't worry, you'll pass, like that will pass. But on the flip side, those decisions, as you say, affect us now. Like, I'm still dealing with things and conflict that I had at that point in my life today in a different way, but it's amazing how that still is effective. It are affecting me. So
definitely. And I think that, you know, I think, as you're saying, one of the really hard things to do about taking care of yourself and the sustainability of yourself is, you know, taking the time for self-care and recognizing, you know, not just the things that have happened in the past that may still affect you, but, you know, the things that are affecting you right now, and just taking a break or taking a moment. And I do this all the time. I have to remind myself to breathe and stop and just, pick up a book, do something,
Yeah.
have a conversation, reach out to the people I love. And I think that's one of the things that's been so interesting about this time is I feel like it's reminded us in some ways of the things that are really, truly important.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, bringing it back to sustainability and sustaining yourself, what do you find is really helpful for you?
I feel like, definitely time with my family and not just my wonderful husband and our kids and our rescue cats, but like, the people outside of our house, blood family and friend family. I think, even the people I can't see, just making time, which, sometimes I was not so great at, so that we can have, catch up online or see each other somehow virtually. And I think those kinds of things are really sustaining right now. And also just having moments to myself and, um, reading or watching something that I love or listening to music, working out, um, doing random acts of kindness. Like the other night, Justin, my husband, and our kids and I, we went out on our golf cart and we drove around like in this little historic district where we live in Georgia. And we like went to all the houses that had Christmas lights, either big displays or small displays. And we left little notes just telling people how much we love the Christmas lights,
Yeah.
anonymous notes, like in their mailboxes. And just doing little things like that, or, adopting families at Christmas time who may not have as much as you. And all of those things, I think, that's a lot of that I just threw at you, but I think all of those things help me at least. And just making that human connection in
Hmm.
whatever way I can while we're in isolation.
Yeah. Well, and what I'm hearing is also taking that time not only for yourself, those minutes of working out or alone time, but also taking the time and those minutes to reach out for a quick act of kindness, which
Yes,
is so huge and so
it is.
big. And as we say, like in the story, like in Ray Bradbury's book, where the butterfly lands on her shoe, it's like that one little act
Mm-hmm.
could then change so much for somebody.
And you have no idea how much that little act can affect, the ripple effect it can have, or it could seem like a little thing to you, but it's a great thing to someone else. And that is, my mother was like the most amazing person. And she used to say, leave the world lovelier than how you found it. And so that's something I always try to do. And certainly, like this time of year and also this particular calendar year, that's something that I've been trying to do, we've been trying to do. And that can come in all shapes, all different versions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love that. I
And I
love
think
that. Thing.
I also try to check on my readers because I think that, I know that so many of us are struggling emotionally with mental health right now, and especially young people. And so I try to check on them to try to just remind them, I guess, in this time that they're not alone, and um, do what I can just to connect with them. I think that human connection is the thing that I keep coming back to because that's the thing. It helps me. And I know with that it helps readers too. But I think that's the thing that's like been helping me, helping the people I know and love during this time the most. It's just it's again, it's that reminding yourself and others that you're not alone.
Yeah, 100%. That discussion that because we can't all have human touch right now, which is
Right.
very challenging because we all need human touch.
Yes,
But
exactly.
yeah, I mean, it's so hard. Thankfully, we have family, but I feel for people that are in a situation where they're in an apartment or don't have family nearby. Like, it's got to be really challenging. And so we have to remind ourselves to have that connection and checking in with friends, sending a note, a letter in the mail, in a mailbox, which is so amazing. And also, taking the time to have these discussions. I find so often lately it's like this side and that side and yes and no and right and wrong, and
Mhm.
there's no ability to have discourse and say like, well, I feel like this and you feel like this, can we meet in the middle and
Right.
let's agree to disagree, or why do you feel that way, can you change my mind? And there's none of that going on, which
Mm-mm.
is all, more, it causes a more of a rift and more divisiveness. And
That is so true, and I didn't think about that. It's like it's and that's another part of the, I think, the isolation that we're feeling.
mhm.
So it's, trying to figure out how you can also do that somehow in the way that the world is at this moment.
Yeah,
But I think, one of the things, like, I love what you're doing this week with these, not just because I get to be on one and meet you
I'm
like this,
so
but
excited. I've been so excited.
me too. And but it's like, because it's so important. And I know, like, I know how much people, need this and respond to it. And it's just so lovely.
Oh, thank you. It's so fun. I mean, it started kind of right when like with the book club started right when quarantine sort of happened, and I was like, I realized in my first Zoom like how nervous I was because I haven't talked to outside like anybody outside of my house in so long. I felt like I was a caged animal. Like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to talk to people. So I feel so lucky to like be able to have these discussions, and I feel like I owe people an apology before I get on with them because I'm like, hey, I'm so excited.
You feel that way too. You're kind of like, oh my gosh. It's like my mom said, she used to, like, years ago, and she was working, she was also an author, and she was working on a book, and she said, I felt so isolated in the house because I was just like alone in the house all day. And like the FedEx man would come to deliver something and be like, hi, do you want to come in? Do you want to have
Hi.
lunch? Do you want to, like, sit down? Like, let's just talk. And like they became good friends. But
I
it's
love
that kind of feeling of like, oh my gosh, like
it.
same. I've been touring. So I would normally be touring the world for a book tour.
Yeah,
Now I'm doing it virtually, of course. And it's great because it's reaching potentially more people, but it's sad because I can't actually meet the readers in person. But it has been like, it's been interesting just doing it this way. And the first couple, it was like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah.
hi. Like,
I threw out fake eyelashes for you. I just don't look at me down like from the waist down, but up here.
exactly. My husband took a picture right before this, actually, and he was like, I love this whole outfit that you're wearing because I've got these big slippers on and like
Oh yeah, I'm in my socks, so.
yoga pants and like
Oh really? I know. I have a Diet Dr. Pepper up my leg. I'm like, oh god, don't look down.
exactly. It's like,
Yeah,
you know what? It's great though. It's like
it's humanizing. I think also to be in someone's house, in a way, and also by allowing people to watch and they're invited in, and it's very intimate and warm at the same time. And it's as weird as it sounds, but
it
it's
is.
nice to be able to do this, and it's nice to have an audience. Even if we can't see you, it's nice to know that you're there and that we can all
Exactly.
have this.
And we so appreciate it. It means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, where should we? I have some questions.
Okay.
And I don't know. Did you get the questions that were in the DMs too?
I didn't.
Let me grab. Where is my computer actually?
I should have. I didn't even think about that. Oh
No,
my
no, no. You're totally fine. Well, I'm sure we have some right here. So hang on one second. Let me just look. Here we go. All right. Let me see. Sorry. I'm still like, it's so stupid. I'm still technologically challenged. I'm kind of a Luddite, even though like I'm on this thing all the time. It's so sad. Okay, but we have tons and tons of questions for you. So let me see. Okay, so is YA your preferred genre to read on your own?
Hmm. It is actually, I read it a lot, but I usually, if I'm just picking up something for pleasure, I usually pick up an adult book. Usually this, for whatever reason, lately it's been mysteries, and I've been listening to audiobooks, which I've
I
really
love
rarely
listening.
done before, but it's been fun.
What do you like to listen to?
I've been listening to everything by Ruth Ware
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah, she's amazing. Or Lucy Foley. I just like started listening to Matt Haig's The Midnight Library, which
Oh
is
cool.
really good. I also listened to some Lisa Jewell. Like it's just been like, ooh, what's next? As soon as I finish one, and so that's been really fun. And it's fun because it's not where I work right now, so it feels like okay, I get a break, even though there's so much wonderful YA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who do you
definitely.
recommend in YA besides yourself?
Well, of course myself, but like I, I recommend. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I love. I have a few books here that I really love, like Kim Johnson's "This Is My America"
Oh,
is
cool.
really wonderful, and it's got a gorgeous cover.
Yeah, the
Very
cover's
powerful
beautiful.
book, and this is amazing. Just like it's so fun. You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. It's a really fun book, but it's also and it's funny, but it's very smart, and it goes deep too.
I love
But I
that.
love like I've got Danielle Page and Cami Garcia, David Levithan, Jandy Nelson.
My gosh,
My
I need to write these down and I need to link them in my stories.
Oh my
Sorry.
gosh, I'll send you a link. My friend
Yeah, would
Angela
you?
Vermelees, who's like my best friend, wrote a beautiful book about coming out
Oh,
and
I love that.
being a Greek immigrant and being gay. And
I know that if you're young, maybe this is like a no-brainer for you, but like for me growing up, that didn't exist. It
yeah,
We didn't have anything that
mm-mm,
showed a lot of diversity or that showed a female character that was on the same par as a male character, and there was no friends that were in
no,
the LGBTQ world that were, it was like an anomaly or it was a token friend. So to have a book where it's diverse and it's different sexual preferences and there was no call out, it wasn't a special like, oh, it was like, this is my life, was just so satisfying.
yeah, exactly. It was like same, just and I think I mean it's so now it feels like oh my gosh, finally. But why did it take so long?
Yeah,
And
I
it's
know.
and it's there's so many beautiful diverse books. One of my really close friends, Ronnie Davis, wrote this beautiful book When the Stars Lead to You, and it's Ronnie is mixed race, and she was like, where are all the love stories for mixed girls? I don't see any. So she wrote one because
I
she
love
was
it.
missing them. And I think that, that is one of the things we try to do. If it's not there, I always say, like to young writers, to give advice to them, I always say, write the book you want to read, write the story you want to read.
I love that. And you say that in the book too.
Yes, that's right. Oh my
I
gosh,
love it.
exactly.
I love it. I know there's so much intertwined in there. It was so honest. It's
Thank you.
really beautiful.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
No, thank you. Um, let's see. Uh, I also have some of my own, so I don't know. I'm being selfish. I probably should take some questions from the audience. Hang on. What is something that helps you stay creative, or what's something that helps fuel your creativity?
Life, definitely. I mean, I get so much inspiration just from my current life, but also, things that have happened to me in the past. All the bright places like came from a boy that I once loved and lost to suicide. And
My
I
goodness.
always knew I wanted to write about knowing him, but it took me years to write that story. And with Breathless, it's I wrote about a summer that was really hard for me when my parents split up and I felt isolated and alone and kind of lost. But then when I was writing the book, it took me to this island where I set the story and I met my husband there.
So I
And
read that in the
yeah,
epilogue.
and so
That's so sweet.
we had all these adventures and I put them in the book. And so there's that kind of lovely, mix of like the heartache that I've been through, but then also these beautiful, like this beautiful news story. And so I think for me, a lot of characters come from their pieces of me and different characters, and also people I love, people I meet who I think are just amazing or, inspiring in some way. And then there's just stories everywhere. My mom used to say, like, you know, you have to be able to find the story in everything because there is a story in everything. And so that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like looking at things from half full, so that
Yes.
even in the sorrow, which I try when things are bad or when things are good to kind of keep it at the same level in a way, so that it's treated with equal weight, so that there is, like you're saying, there is a story in the sadness or the happiness or this or that, just finding that silver lining or that lesson.
Yes, absolutely. That's so true. It's so true. And as I say, in all the bright places, it's looking for, even in dark times, there can be bright places and you can be a bright place too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I'm so excited to see. Is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It was so surreal, and it's especially surreal because the premiere was the week before really all of America shut down.
Oh no.
So it was like we went to the premiere at the ArcLight in Hollywood, and
My
then
gosh.
the next thing you know, we split time between LA and Georgia, and the next thing you know, we got on a plane to come here for 4 days, and we've been here since March 1st.
Oh
So
my goodness. Wow.
like, oh, okay.
That's not a bad place to be.
It's not. It's beautiful.
That's awesome. Um, well, do you want to take maybe a couple more questions and then
Of course, absolutely.
thank you so much. Um, let's see. Oh, people are asking you out on dates.
Thank you so much.
Hi from Mexico. Let's see.
It's so lovely. It says everyone is so.
I know I love this. Like, um, let's say, what is your go-to? This is a tough one, but what is your go-to book that you read to clear your head?
That is a very hard one, but my mother actually wrote a memoir called Swimming Lessons years ago,
Oh
and
my goodness.
yeah.
I know that book.
Oh my gosh.
That's your mom?
Uh-huh.
How funny. I feel like my mom, I remember seeing that in my house. That's so crazy.
Oh my gosh, I just got chills. That's
That's
so crazy.
amazing. Oh my gosh.
It's like this beautiful little book about life. And my mom learned to swim when she was like 44 or something. And so she wrote all these life lessons basically, but it has a lot of stories from when I was little and a lot of family stories. And I just love that. I love revisiting it. And if I'm having like a mini meltdown or a hard day, my husband's like, let's just pick up your mom's book and read a chapter because she's no longer here. So he'll read me a chapter, and it inevitably is like what I need to hear in that
I'm
moment.
in love with your husband. That is so sweet. How, like, to know what you need. Oh my gosh.
He's incredible.
I love that. My husband he doesn't always say stuff like that, but last night he said something just like, when they just those moments you're like, oh yeah, that's it. That's exactly what that's so. I'm sorry. I have a lack of. I'm a loss for words. I just think that's so cool. That's so sweet.
Thank you. It's just he's amazing. He is. And it's that like being seen, right? The importance of being seen and that connection. It's just, and I've never been seen the way he sees me. So that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know they tend to do that.
they do. And it takes you like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feel like when I was reading your story, it really brought me back to my courtship with Jared, and because we weren't teens, but we were, in our mid to late 20s, and it was, I didn't know if I'd see him again in a weird way because I didn't know if how long I was going to be on the show, and they kept writing me back, and I was just fortunate enough to be there at the right times to then have another date, and then I'd go back for a minute and we'd write letters and we'd send packages back and forth, and it was just this like, I hope this lasts. I hope this lasts. I don't know. Like, but
And
the
that's
this
amazing. I just remember watching the show when you came on because I've loved the show since it first started
no way.
and seeing you come on and I was like the chemistry between these two is so amazing. And I remember my friends and I were like, I hope they get together. I hope they
Oh,
get together.
I love it. It's yeah, it's yes. I mean, I loved every minute of that and falling in love and yeah, and that story, your story of Claude and Maya, it was just it literally brought me back. And now I get to work with him again, so I love him every day and I fall in love with him every day, but I feel like I get to fall in love with him all over again on set again and
That's amazing.
so it was cool to
Congratulations.
read. Thanks. It's really fun, but to read your story definitely brought me back, and now I get to. It's full circle, so it's very. I'm sweating thinking about it. I get really nervous. So.
Oh my goodness. That's so lovely. That means so much. And it's so
No.
important. And I think that's one thing too, you know, as busy as we all are, especially right now, this time of year, it's so easy to just get distracted. I mean, I know this morning I was just like, I'm stressed and I read this and I've got that and I've got this deadline and this deadline. And then later I was like, you know what? But I'm so grateful for all of it. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you. I was just talking to Justin and I was just like, I want to focus on that more. And I want to just remember that. I want to go back into like the mind of like Claude and Jeremiah and remember like the adventures we had before we had to like, go to the grocery store and go do this and go do
Yeah.
that. And I
Exactly.
think like reminding yourself of those moments. You can't always do that, but it's so lovely.
Well, and think of all the great art and books and literature that's going to come out of this.
Exactly. Oh my
And
gosh, true.
that's what that's what I keep thinking. I'm like, I can't wait to see what's going to happen,
Me
what
too.
people are going to come up with and do. And
Yes. Oh my gosh, how the world will be and
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, the good that will come out of all this.
yeah. Hopefully, a stronger, more beautiful, connected.
Hmm. Yes, exactly. That's what I hope for.
Yeah.
2021, just like, please.
Please. I know. Hopefully we can make it through, and I know we can. I feel good. I feel it's been a real rough year, but I I I feel grateful that we're all in it together.
Yes, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I am just so grateful to finally meet you.
Likewise.
I love your book, and I really hope that there's a sequel because I don't want it to end.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe there will be.
And please keep me posted. I would love to stay in touch, and I really love everything that you're writing and doing, and I just am so appreciative with you sharing what sustains you during these times and your work, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Likewise, and just thank you for all you are, all you do, and thank you for being such a bright place.
Oh, you too. Thank you again.
Thank you. So good to see you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.